Hello and welcome to Black Cats Chat, the international fans podcast for Sunderland AFC. My name is Lee Thirkell. I'm from the Bilbao Black Cats, and today I'm joined by Robin Bond from Prague. He's in the Czech Republic. He's part of the Czech Republic branch. In fact, he's the founder, right, Robin? How are
That's
you, mate?
correct, yeah.
How are
Yeah,
you?
good. Good evening. Good, nice to speak to you again.
Yep, all right. Always welcome on here, mate. And we've also got Justin Warner in Toronto, Canada. He's part of the SAFC NASA branch. Justin, what is it, afternoon now where you are?
It is afternoon now, yeah, 1 o'clock.
Have you filled up on your lunch?
I've had my lunch, yeah, I'm ready to go rock and roll.
Okay, good. Right then. So yesterday, Sunderland fell to a 1-0 defeat in the last league game of the season at home in front of 41,000 fans at the Stadium of Light. The result capped off a disappointing end to the league season with 5 defeats in a row. But obviously, we knew from well before that we were going to be in the playoffs. Robin, I'm going to start with you. Is it disappointing that we just didn't get any kind of reaction from the previous matches, from the week away in the days away in Portugal, and the kind of promises or comments from the club coming out from the website was that we're going to be ready for the last game. We need to put in a performance. So was it a bit disappointing that yesterday just didn't seem to match those comments?
Yeah, it just didn't seem to click again. I think the very disappointing, given that probably arguably the strongest side we could put out. Going behind very early on, and they just, to me, never looked like they were going to recover. They just didn't look fluent and coherent.
Yeah, and that's something, Justin, that's been the case for the last month and a half, 2 months at least. We had these games where Lebris came in and he said that we're going to rotate this team, give players minutes who haven't had minutes, rest them. Was it also an opportunity to try something different? Because we could clearly see that the way we're playing doesn't really create us that many chances or clear-cut chances. Because, I mean, if you look at the stats, the last 5 games we've scored 1 goal. If you look at the last 12 games, we've scored 8 goals. So could he have perhaps, I mean, in hindsight, it's great, isn't it? But could he have perhaps mixed it up a little bit to try something different rather than just going with the same old, same old?
Yeah, it's been the complaint that's been floating around on social media, isn't it, that Lebris doesn't have a plan B. And yeah, I mean, I saw something else, I think it was on Twitter earlier. We won our first 5 games, conceded 1 goal, and we've basically turned it around to losing 5 games and scoring 1 goal. So something's gone wrong somewhere. But yeah, it was definitely I would have said an opportunity to try either new formation or try some players in different positions, which I think he did to some extent yesterday. He had Joe playing as the deeper midfielder, and Rig and Neil were supposed to be playing further forward, but it just ended up with the 3 of them all sat in front of the back 4, which perhaps that's the way to go against Coventry in the first leg. Perhaps we shut up shop and hope for a narrow defeat or a draw. But yeah, it's not very exciting football to watch at the moment, and definitely a concern going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and Robin, I mean, Justin mentioned there like the first 5 games of the season. I'm going to take you back to the first 12 games of the season and the last 12 games, which is basically the first and last quarter of the season. So the first 12 games, we won 9, drew 1, lost 2, goals for 23, goals against 9, 28 points. The last 12 games, 4 wins, 2 draws, 6 defeats, 8 goals scored, 13 conceded, 14 points. That suggests a massive drop, I think, isn't it? It's almost half the points. And people mentioned Lebris hasn't got a plan B, but I think he has got a plan B. And I think this is his plan B because the way we started the season was so much different. I mean, I saw a video this morning on YouTube. There's a guy called Alt Ending, I think he does. He makes YouTube videos and he makes an analysis. And he just kind of like put together a reel of highlights which showed the hunger that we had earlier in the season to high press, to win the ball back up high, to get the ball forward quickly. And then all of a sudden, after probably the Leeds game, or maybe it's a bit before, it just started to change, that we just started to go very defensive and pass sideways or backwards, and it was very slow, and we allowed teams to get back into their defensive shape. So I think he does have a plan B, and I think this is his plan B, the defensive way. But have we got any chance in hell, Robin, of of going back to that plan A that we had early in the season?
I'd like to think so. I mean, we've got potentially 3 games ahead of us. If you look at it, we only need to play well in one of the semi-finals. We can afford to lose one and then turn it on in the second one, or vice versa, and go through to the final. And we can play the worst game in the world and win, and we back in the Premier League. So while we've got 11 men on the field, there's still a chance. But very disappointing out yesterday. Like we said, to not really change things up. I was expecting a lot more aggression, moving the ball a lot quicker. I think to Justin's point, we didn't really shake things up. He made a couple of substitutions, but I think very late in the game, 75 minutes, at 1-0 down, maybe it was the time at halftime to try something different. Because he left. He didn't take my ender off. He put Isidore on. He left Lefebvre on. He left Roberts on and brought Watson on. So it was quite an attacking lineup for the last 15 minutes. But why did he not do that after 45 or 50 when we were chasing a game, nothing to lose? To me, an ideal situation to go out and try something different and to mess about the formations a little bit more.
Yeah. Justin, it's been 2 games then where Lebris has had his best 11 available to him, apart from Mundell in both of these last 2 matches, and then probably Cirque in the last match, but he played yesterday.
Yep.
Lebris must be scratching his head. Surely, what he needs to do to get this team to click again, because I don't know what your thoughts on yesterday when you saw in the lineup, and then when you watched the match. I imagine probably the same as me. Like, what the hell has happened to these players?
Yeah, I mean, to Robin's point, it's sort of it was certainly one of our strongest lineups. But it was the speed at which we're moving the ball or moving the attacks just doesn't seem to be there at all. I mean, I think earlier on in the season we were having our fullbacks overlapping with the wingers. That's not happening. We had players breaking from midfield with pace. That's not happening. And like I said earlier, I mean, we ended up with our 3 central midfielders basically covering in front of the back 4, which is great for defensive solidity, but it means that Mayenda doesn't get the ball, and he barely touched the ball yesterday. And then you've got Lafay and Roberts on the wing, who are both inverted, both want to come inside. And we're just not stretching the play, basically. So it's all very slow and predictable, allows the defending team to get back into shape. And admittedly, I mean, for all our lack of attempts on goal yesterday, they didn't exactly stretch Patterson either. But it's a worry. I mean, we need to score goals to get promoted. And because I mean, we can't rely on penalties in the playoffs. I think we demonstrated that so far this season. So we need to be winning 2 games basically at the very least. And you just don't know where the goals are going to come from at the moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, Robin, Justin mentioned there, Patterson didn't have a save to make at all yesterday. We had 5 shots on target, believe it or not, but guess what? All 5 were blocked. So,
Yeah.
and it was 58% possession. And then one of the other stats that I thought was interesting was we had a period as well in the first half where we had a lot of corners. We had 11 corners in total, and we didn't do anything with any of them, I don't think.
No, probably the most corners I think we've actually won in a long time. But you're right, we didn't do a lot with them, and I was actually amazed when I looked at the stats after the game and saw that we'd had 11 shots, 5 on target. And I was scratching my head as to where they came from. And I think the only real chance was at the Ballard header towards
Yep.
the end of the game that would really tested the keeper. So very worrying that we're not creating the chances. Yeah.
Justin then, so Lebris in his formation and his tactics, he's persisted with this 4-4-3-3. Well, let's say it is. It's a bit more complex than that, but he's got 4 defenders. He's got a holding midfield. He's got 2 advanced midfielders. He's got 2 wingers and a forward. It worked earlier in the season, but now it's not. You mentioned there Lafay and Roberts on the wings. Do you not think that they play very wide? They play too wide, in fact, because as soon as they get the ball, the first thing they want to do is come inside. But when they come inside, they've already got a triangle of defenders against them. So they can never get that space to go on the overlap because they're so wide anyway. And when they come
Mhm.
inside, they've got that try. So I just think he needs to mix it up and he needs to get the players moving off the ball. For me, that's one of the key things is off the ball movement.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just no movement. It's just players standing around waiting. And part of the problem yesterday was our passing was pretty poor as well. I mean, we were playing the ball sort of behind players quite a lot, so you sort of it basically stops the attack straight away. We need to be playing balls in front of players for them to run onto. Neither Roberts or Lafay really took the ball to the byline. Like you said, they're picking the ball out wide and looking to come inside all the time, and it just congests the play. Basically, we really need to stretch both the width and the length of the pitch to try and get things going again. To try and get the attacking triangles to work because yeah, the last 2-3 months it just hasn't been coming off at all.
Yeah. And Robin, I mean, yesterday they scored after 5 minutes, which was like a massive blow, but it's typical of us recently. But still, there's like what, 85, 90 minutes of football left to play. Um, could you see any kind of reaction from the players after we went behind?
Uh, not really. Maybe for 10 or 15 minutes we kind of went at them a little bit, but then just fell into what we've been doing for the last probably 10 games. Just very slow, deliberate movement. Um, and I don't know what was said to them before the game. Was it a case of let's get through the game, nothing to lose, let's get through the game unscathed, let's make sure we don't pick up any injuries? I don't know whether there was some of that in it, but there just didn't seem to be, like you said earlier, the promise of, we're going to go at it now. Certainly, if that's going at it, then we've got to worry for the next two games.
Yeah. Justin, psychologically on the players, like 5 defeats in a row going into the playoffs, and it is a young team. I mean, I think the average age is what, 22, 23, something like that. I think you could start to see it affect them a little bit yesterday because we were picking up a couple of needless yellow cards. I think Job got one for a foul that he didn't need to make. Dan Neil got one, I think, as well. No, it wasn't Job. It was Dan Neil, and I think O9 got one as well. There's a bit of frustration creeping in there, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, they're professionals. I mean, they're professionals and they're competitive athletes. They're not going to be enjoying losing 5 games on the spin, and us being pretty clueless as to how to turn it around at the moment. But it it doesn't really look. I mean, it's hard to know how much it is affecting them, because they don't seem to be changing in game. I mean, obviously we'll talk about the post-match comments in a bit, but there's lots of talk about picking it up and putting in more effort and 3 cup finals, yada yada yada. But at some point you've got to deliver. And I think the worry has always been that while this bad run of form continues, it gets sort of ingrained in them, and they don't know how to change their play. I mean, obviously they got 4 days on the training field, or 5, possibly with today being a recovery day, to try and sort things out. But yeah, I think it's only natural for them to be frustrated.
Yeah, well, I think we can pretty much sum up the match in a few words, Robin. But probably the best part of it was Luke O'Nien giving Jack Colback a wedgie. I think that was probably the funniest thing. But apart from that, yeah, it was a disappointing game, and we're going to go on to the post-match comments in a minute. But I just want to take you back, Robin, to Enzo Lefebvre's pre-match comments after the Portugal trip, where he said the trip was important for us. It gave us time to reflect, reset, and learn. Recent results haven't been good enough, and we know that. Every player knows their responsibility, but now is the time for us to stand together. Players, staff, supporters, everyone. We can't lose sight of the opportunity still in front of us. Massive games are coming quickly, and momentum can shift fast, and we have to be ready when it does. Um, didn't look like that yesterday, did it, Robin?
No, it didn't. But we've still got the 2 games ahead of us. I think it's good for them to get away the break. I've been in work situations where you go away and you do team building exercises outside of the normal work environment. You come back feeling refreshed. Let's just hope they can raise it for Friday night.
Yeah.
I'd take a draw. I'd take probably a 1-0 defeat down there. But the worrying thing for me is back at home. You're just not getting the crowd involved. Once upon a time, the crowd to me were we use the phrase the 12th man. The atmosphere is flat. That just the whole thing at home. Just I don't know. Just because of the way the team are playing, the fans are not getting behind them either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Justin, Lefay goes on to say our standards are extremely high, and over the past few weeks we haven't quite hit those levels, either individually or as a team. But with some huge games just ahead, we've got a real chance to put things right. And he says, before QPR yesterday, he says, we want to show performance that properly reflects who we are. We know we've fallen short recently, but we'll fight for every ball, we'll battle, and we'll be fully prepared for the 2 playoff games that lie ahead. So big statements there on the defensive, coming out showing a bit of grit. But the first opportunity to do that yesterday didn't show that. So are you a bit disappointed that Lefay hasn't shown a bit more during his loan spell? Because he had that start, he was magnificent, we'll all admit that. He had the injury, but then he came back, and I don't think he really has fulfilled his real potential yet, has he not?
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem is, one, he's playing out of position, and two, he's just returned from a sort of a long spell out with injury. So I think it's a little bit premature to write him off. But that having been said, we need the Enzo Lefay that played for us in January for the playoffs, because if we get the Enzo Lefay that's played for us the last 3 or 4 games, then he's not really going to be adding a huge amount to the team. I mean, he's keeping Tommy Watson out of the side because I think there's a reluctance to play Tommy because of what's going on with Brighton and the way the fans are reacting to him. And to one of your very earlier points about the formation, I mean, Lefay is a number 10. So we need to find a way to either put him into that sense of more of a central midfield role and a central attacking midfield central midfield role, because he is a bit wasted on the left wing in my eyes. But I think while we still have Romain Mundle as an injury doubt, and he'll almost certainly not play, or certainly won't start against Coventry on Friday. We might be lucky if we make it to the final. He might be properly fit then. But I suspect that Lefay is probably going to have to play left midfield, left wing, whatever you want to call it, for us. So we need to find a way to get players pushing forward from central midfield and adding some support to the attack, because it's just not happening at the moment.
Yeah. And Robin, we'll move on to Lebris's post-match comments. He started off by saying that one of the main factors that he decided to rotate the team was as a result of the Coventry game that we lost down there 3-0. He says that it was a match where the players looked very tired. He says we were really exhausted, and it was the starting point of this period of rotation. We felt it was really important to refresh the squad after 36, 37, 38 games. I don't remember exactly. And then this period is over. Individual mistakes can obviously happen, but it wasn't so often this season, and I'm sure it won't happen again. I got a big statement there. And he says that, well, many Sunderland fans are concerned by the team's performance level heading into those playoff fixtures, but Lebris said he had no doubt about his players will be able to step up when the pressure is on. For me, I have in my head the games we played against Leeds, Sheffield United, and Burnley. These games were playoff games, and we always played well in these situations. If it was 2, 3, 4 months before, we'll be ready to do it again. I have no doubt about this, and that's about it. So he's very defiant, isn't he, in the public eye? But I think in the private in the privacy of his house or his dressing room or his office, he might be a little bit worried that the performances haven't been that level as he mentions against Sheffield United, Leeds, and Burnley. Robin, there's this comment of being able to turn the tap on and off or flick the switch or whatever you want to call it. I don't think you can do it. I don't think it works like that. So, as Justin said before, if we can sneak a draw or a 1-0 defeat, or as you mentioned before as well, I'd be happy with that. But do you think his comments there justify his decision to rotate? And do you feel that he still has the belief that he can turn this round?
Yeah, I think some of the rotations been a little bit forced upon him due to injury. I think his comments about how we've performed against the teams up at the top, I think, are correct. Although, the Leeds game that we probably should have won, we didn't. The Burnley game that we should have won, we didn't. Just not having that killer instinct when we should be delivering it. And like you said, I think I said the last time that we spoke, I'm a great believer in confidence breeding confidence. And the players must be feeling a little bit flat. Can they flick that switch on and turn on a brilliant performance on Friday night? Anything's possible, but I'm very doubtful that we can do it.
Mm-hmm. Justin, he mentions that it was really important to refresh the squad after 36, 37, 38 games. That's pretty much the season done. Shouldn't this have been done earlier in the season?
Yeah, I totally agree. We're basically flogging players to death and then saying, well, we need to make some changes. How about going crazy and making some changes before they're dead on their feet? It's been our problem for a few seasons now. Doesn't look like, it looks like Lebris basically has his favorite like 15, and they're the ones that play the vast majority of the minutes. And yeah, I think it's a duty of care to the players basically to rotate them more frequently and give us more players in the squad playing time. But yeah, we are where we are. We finished fourth. It's a marked improvement from last season. But yeah, I think with hindsight, there's always things that we would have liked to have seen done differently. I think to Robin's point, though, I'd argue that we've not done that well in the high pressure games. Yes, we probably should have won at Leeds if we hadn't had that disastrous last 15 minutes, but we did collapse in the last 15 minutes. Burnley, we should have won, but we didn't. We had missed 2 penalties. Sheffield United, we probably should have won, but we lost 1-0. And I think really in the home legs of those games, really only the Burnley game was the one that we looked comfortable in. And again, with hindsight, that was a Burnley team that was still rebuilding. They were still sort of reintegrating or integrating the players that they'd signed, and they were sort of still finding their feet. And obviously, both of the games against Coventry, we had one good half basically where we scored a couple of goals. The Coventry away game was terrible, and we fell apart in the second half at home against Coventry. So, my concern really is that with this young team, if they have any kind of setback, they're liable to fall apart again. That's my primary worry at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Robin, it was interesting that Lebris said in his pre-match interview to the QPR game, he said, for me, this is a season and a half if he's comparing it to the French league, because obviously I think in the French league they play, 36 games or 34, 36 games. Do you think he's underestimated the championship because of the amount of games that we have to play and the reason, the comments he's saying there that we thought it was a good time to refresh the squad for 36 out of 37 games. Do you think he's made a big underestimation there?
Well, I don't know. I think he knew what he was coming into. We knew that our season was, normal season, 46 games long. So should have been planning for that. If he's been planning for anything less, then he's not the coach that we all think he is. And to Justin's point earlier, had you told me coming into season with a new coach, a relatively young and new team that we finished fourth, I'd have been pleased. But it's just the way that we've fallen away from after the brilliant start of the season. And a season for me could have been so much better. I've said it. If I've said it once, I've said it 50 times in the last 2 or 3 weeks. That it could have been so much better. And lots of debate around, was it the new coach coming in that's changed everything around? I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I don't think the new coach would have that type of influence. I don't think. But Justin, on to Chris Mepham's comments, who suggested that the players may have subconsciously switched off for these last few games. He says it's a perfect opportunity for us to put everything right, referring to the Coventry games, especially that game against Coventry, where I think it's probably the most disappointing result and performance we've had. So what an opportunity to go there and give a good account of ourselves and get a result and get something that we can hold on to come back to the Stadium of Light, where we know the fans will be behind us and they'll play the 12th man at times. Is that a bit of a dig there? At times. It's not been a good run that we've been on, but for me, when you're heading to the 2 playoff games, I think form goes out of the window. I think you've got 2 of the biggest games of your lives where naturally everyone will raise their level and the fans will be behind everyone. Like I said, I think we've got an amazing opportunity now to progress. I think it's been a compliment and a credit towards the fact that we've been in a position where with 6 games to go, we can tinker with the team and give important players a rest and make some tactical tweaks and some changes. I think other teams are scrapping for their lives and it's going down to the wire. You see today, teams missed out on the playoffs, teams getting relegated. And finally, he says, we've been in a position for a long time now where we know our destiny. I think it can be difficult on the flip side. Like I said, you can subconsciously lose a little bit of motivation. Like I said, it's really important now that we dust ourselves down and know that we've got 2 massive games coming up and hopefully we get a third at Wembley. So, Justin, he's kind of admitting there that the team have subconsciously lost a little bit of motivation. Does that disappoint you as a fan of a professional football team?
A short answer, yes. It's yeah, there's no other way to put it. I mean, it's particularly, I mean, you can make the excuses sort of the previous 3 or 4 games maybe that we didn't really have anything to play for. But the whole point of them going away to Portugal for training, and all the talk going into the game was that they were going to put things right in quotes. In the QPR game, QPR had nothing to play for. They weren't going up or down. They were basically in on the beach already, and we couldn't muster the effort to beat them basically, and that's the worry. I mean, I know everyone's sort of saying, oh, it'll be a different game on Friday and Tuesday, and yeah, hopefully it will be. But the worry is that we sort of down tools like a month or so ago, and we really haven't shown anything. And there's been no spark. There's been nothing basically in the period since then that has given me the indication that we're capable of winning the games in the playoffs. Obviously, we can look back to the earlier part of the season, and if we play like that, yeah, it'll be great. But we haven't played like that for many months, and to expect the team to suddenly turn up and start playing like 70s Brazil, I think it might be one ask too many.
Yeah, well, I think here Mepham and a few other players have made comments, Dan Neil especially, saying that we need to be united, the fans, the club, the staff. And I think in general, the fans are united. They do back the team. I mean, the average attendance this season has been 40,000 and we've sold out 21 away games out of 23. So I don't know, I get the feeling that the club are trying to channel a little bit of blame at fans for the way they've reacted over this run. And I think that's a bit unfair, I think, because the fans have been there the whole season. Fair enough, the atmosphere might not have been there at times, But I think that comes down to as well the way they're playing the game. If you don't play exciting football, it's not going to get the fans excited. It's simple as that. So, um, do you think that the players and the staff are looking for some excuses to have a little dig at the fans to get the atmosphere a little bit more rowdy for Tuesday night or a week on Tuesday, Justin?
I don't think you can criticize the fans, and the fans will react if the team are putting in the performances on the park and they're playing great attractive football. The fans will always react. I know we're all biased, but you'd go a long way to kind of come across a loyal set of fans, given a recent past, and still get to 40 odd thousand at home games. The away support has always been brilliant, but for 40 odd thousand fans still to be going is it's a credit to the fans, and they're brilliant.
I think the thing is though, I mean, yes, we've been getting the numbers through the gates, but I mean, obviously, I've not been at a game this season, but so maybe I'm missing it. But certainly on television, it doesn't look or sound like there's an incredible atmosphere at home anymore. I think to your point, Lee, it's sort of it's hard to expect the fans to get up and cheer the team on. I mean, probably the semi-final game will be one that they will be up for. But certainly the past few months where there's been literally nothing to cheer. I mean, you make the effort. If the players aren't making the effort, then why should the fans? It's up to the team to give them something to cheer about, rather than the fans lifting the players, particularly the way they've been going on. In the playoffs, hopefully, there will be that bit more sort of incentive for the fans to get behind the team. I think the hope is obviously that we come away from, I was going to say Highfield Road, whatever the Coventry ground's called.
BBS Stadium, I think it's called now.
Is it? Jesus, whatever it's called this week. But yeah, we need to come away from there with something that gives us some hope for the second leg, because yeah, I don't think we're like, if we lose 3-0 at their place, I can't see us pulling about 4 at home. I mean, we even scored 4 goals this season in a game. So yeah, it's I think we need to keep it tight in the first leg. I mean, obviously, ideally would be to come away with a win to defend. But yeah, even a draw or a narrow defeat would probably be okay. I think the worry is that if we do need to overturn a couple of goals, it's hard to see where that's coming from the most recent performances anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, Robin just makes an interesting point there about like the fans, that if the players are not putting the effort in, then why should the fans, right? But on the flip side of that, the players could turn around and say, well, listen, we finished fourth. So how could the fans react to that then? Because listen, we have finished fourth. We've got 76 points. It's been a good season on the whole. But do you think those last 5 games, the 5 defeats, does that cancel the rest of the season? Does it kind of have an impact on how the fans' reaction is, and is the fans' reaction justified to be a bit frustrated and annoyed, given that we finished fourth, 76 points, but we've lost the last 5 games and we've scored 1 goal?
Yeah, I mean, for me as a fan, I was very excited. I was very happy, and if I'd been at the games, probably screaming my head off the early part of the season. But they just haven't delivered for the second half of the season, and there's nothing really to get the fans excited about. The playoffs are funny. I think I was there when we both away and at home when we played Sheffield United, and we came back from the first leg to, I think it was 2-1 down from memory. And the atmosphere in the Stadium of Light for the home leg was just phenomenal, and probably did help the team get over the line. And I'd like to see that again a week on Tuesday. As Justin said, come away from there 0-0, 1-0 down, or even maybe sneak a 1-0 win away and take it back, and the fans will get behind the team.
Yep. Justin then. So Trey Hume spoke after the match as well about Coventry, and he says that Coventry are a good team, they're in form, They beat us 3-0 at their place last time and we didn't play very well. We were very frustrated after that. We know it will be a tough place to go and it will be tough for them coming here. Doesn't seem like that at the minute for teams. But like I said, we have to be ready for it. Obviously, it doesn't matter who we were playing. It could have been any number of teams after the day, but Coventry is the team we've got, and we're a good team. And then he goes on to say, they're a good team once again. But like I said, it's the playoff semi-final. Of course, you want to win. So it doesn't matter who you are playing. You have to go out there like it's a cup final and obviously win the games. We want to get promoted. That was the main drive from the start of the season. So that goes as well, no, like to show that the players wanted to get promotion. Whereas everyone was just saying, a lot of people are saying that it's a relief that we finished in the top six after last season. But I always thought that last season was just a one-off. Obviously, we were in the top two around Christmas time and we fell out of that and ended up replacing the playoffs. That's been the main goal the whole season, to get promoted. We haven't lost the faith in that. Obviously, we haven't been playing like we probably want to. We haven't been as good as we have been. Like I said, it's the cup finals coming up now and we have to be ready for it. So, Justin, on to Trey Hume's points then. He knows that we haven't been playing, but he constantly mentions that Coventry are a good team. And the point going back to Mepham, that form goes out of the window for the playoffs. What do you make of Hume's comments and that comment from Mepham?
Like I said before, I mean, you have to cross your fingers and hope that they know what to do to make it good for those two playoff games. Basically, it's yeah. I think we all know. Evidently, they all know that they've not been playing as well as they could be. Even Job, when he got picked up the young player award at the EFL awards, sort of was saying that the aim of the team had always been promotion. So we've met that expectation now, but they need to make that final step and seal the deal. So yeah, it's down to them. I mean, as supporters, I think nobody really wanted to get Coventry just because of the history between the two teams and how poorly we have played against them in recent seasons. But it's two games basically. We need to pull it out and put the performance in and hopefully come away with the results. I mean, I think that's all the supporters can ask for really, is we want to see them putting in the effort and looking like they try. I mean, if we get beat, we get beat. But if we play as tamely as we have done in the last month or 2 months and go out, then there'll be a lot of questions asked. I think all we want to see is the team putting the effort in, representing the shirt, and hopefully doing the business at the end of the day.
Yeah, Robin just makes a good point there. That's all we want to see. If we can get beat in a playoff match, that's fine. But as long as we see the effort, right? I mean, if you go back to the Luton the playoff semi-final a few years ago, we had like horrible injuries to the players. We had like Lyndon Gooch playing centre back, Patrick Roberts playing left back or whatever. But we lost that match down at Luton, didn't we? 2-0, I think it was. We deserved to lose because we didn't play well. We didn't have the players. But after the match, you remember the scenes of like the Sunderland fans in the way end singing "Sunderland Till I Die," and they got behind the players because they knew that they'd given absolutely everything. So it's a bit different this time, isn't it? Because we feel that the players are not giving everything. So they really need to step up, don't they?
Yeah, they've got to step up, and yeah, like you've said, I think all of the fans, if they come away from those two games and we've busted a gut and we've given it everything, we've left it all out there on the pitch, nobody would argue. But if we go and we're as tame as we were yesterday and as tame as we have been for the last 5 games, then there'll be a big sense of disappointment. And it's up to the players to go out. It's up to the management team to motivate them, to get them fired up. I'd stick tomorrow's the 5th of May. I'd stick the FA Cup final on and let them watch that. If you want some motivation.
Yeah. Or if you just want entertainment, I've just seen a headline across Sunderland website saying "Man caught masturbating at the petrol station." Like that's the funniest part of the podcast so far. Anyway, Robin, I'll stay with you. Frank Lampard's been speaking after finding out he's going to be playing Sunderland. He says that we have to expect the best version of Sunderland. Yeah, good luck with that. The Coventry head coach told Sky Sports they are there because they were so good in the first half of the season. And he goes on to say, Uh, it's going to be a great challenge. It's been a long week, and I'm pleased to take a breather after that. Um, so yeah, Frankie's expecting the best version of us, Justin.
Yeah, whatever that is. Um, yeah, I mean, like we were saying, that's all we can hope for is that we show up and do ourselves justice. Um, what that best version is, I honestly don't know these days. I mean, it's sort of you look back at the start of the season, sort of perhaps with the rose-tinted glasses, and think that's what we could have achieved. But it was probably improbable that we would play like that for an entire season. Um, and we just seem to have forgotten how to play at the moment. So yeah, hopefully they get into the academy this week, put things right, um, put some effort in on set pieces, both defending and attacking, and yeah, we'll see what happens. I think on paper we match Coventry. At the very least, I mean, obviously they have players like Hadji Wright who seem to have a sort of um, voodoo over us at the moment. Sort of recently, they've sort of scored goals, but those kind of records are there to be broken. I think we just need to turn up as a collective and put the effort in, and hopefully that'll be enough for us to come away and get into the final. And yeah, who knows?
Yeah. Robin, we'll move on to the team news then for Friday night. After going down to a defeat 3-0, I imagine that Lebris and Co will be analysing that match very in depth during this week and finding ways to make sure that it doesn't happen again. So, what starting 11 would you go for, uh, assuming that Mundell may not be fit to start?
To be honest, I'd probably go with something very, very similar to what we put out yesterday. If Mundell's fit, I'm not sure he would take the risk and start him. Maybe stick with the same team, um, and then maybe anyway. Without doubt, I think we're going to go out and we're gonna defend. I can't see us going down to Coventry and going all full out attack. It's just not the way we've been playing. And if we do anything differently to that, I think he'll go down and set us up for a draw or at least a 1-0 win, or maybe try and sneak something on the break. So I think very, very similar to yesterday. I think he'll the I think Neil did play a little bit further forward yesterday. That was the intention, I think, to try and link the to create a better link between the back line and the front line, but kind of reverted to type. Joe obviously sat in as more of a holding midfield player yesterday. So I think a very, very similar setup.
Justin, can you see any major changes?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I was disappointed with Dan Neil yesterday. I thought he was ponderous on the ball and was caught in possession quite a lot. I would have liked to have seen Samad come on for him to be honest. But I think really with the players that we have available to us who are fit, I mean, I think starting Mundell would be a huge risk. I mean, you don't throw a player in who's been out for basically since the Coventry game. I think it was when he got injured. I don't think you throw a player in after two plus months out injured and expect them to hit the floor running. So yeah, I agree with Robin. I suspect we'll see a very similar side to the one that started yesterday. I think Mayenda will probably start up front. I think the same three more than likely in midfield. I would probably play Dan Neil deeper and have Bellingham and Rigg as the sort of more advanced forwards. But yeah, I mean, I don't see us making wholesale changes for Coventry. I was just looking at the team that we did have for the Coventry game there. I think it was a game that we lost both Sirkin and Mundell
That's right, yeah.
during the games. So, and that kind of knocked the stuffing out of the team then anyway. So I mean, you can kind of write it off from that point. I mean, obviously I think both those injuries were in the first half, and we had had a chance to sort of reset and regroup, but we were kind of running on fumes. We really didn't have much in the way of options on the bench at that point. So yeah, I think we're probably looking at a very similar setup to the QPR game.
Yeah. Robin, one of the talking points for the team on Friday is Dan Ballard returned yesterday. He's a big bastard defender, as we call him. Has he got a chance of starting, given that we are shipping goals quite frequently?
Yeah, it was nice to see him back out again. I like Dan Ballard, and one of the things I was thinking is, do they maybe go to 3 across the back and play Ballard, Meffam and 09 and play 5 at the back maybe? I don't know. Or did he just give him a run out just to make sure that he's got some match time under his legs to come off the bench should he need to be?
Mm-hmm. Justin, Dan Ballard back in the team, yes or no?
I would have said. I mean, I was surprised he came on for Mepham yesterday. To be honest, I would have liked to see him and Mepham playing together. But obviously, I know 9 was on a yellow card as well, so it struck me as a bit of a strange decision to take Mepham off. But yeah, it's I trying to think who plays. But they got Hadji Wright. He's quick. Ellis Sims is quickish. They don't really have any big lads up front of them. They're sort of they're nippy forwards. So I don't think there's necessarily the need to have Mepham and Ballard playing together from a height perspective. But just from the fact that they are actually both central backs rather than converted midfielders, I think it's worth thinking about. I mean, to Robin's point, I mean the 3 at the back is something a lot of people have been talking about as an option when Ballard was back and available. Obviously, yesterday was his first game back. I think it would be too much of a risk to make that change early in the playoffs. I mean, we've all spoken about the need to get a defendable result to take it to the Stadium of Light, and I think sort of a fundamental change in the shape of the team is just asking for trouble. So yeah, I'm expecting a 4-3-3, 4 whatever you are, 4-5-1, whatever you want to call it, at Coventry, and I don't expect Ballard to start.
No, I wouldn't change the back 3 at this stage. I think it's too risky. I think if you're going to do that, then try it with the last 5 games that we had.
Yeah.
Robin, Chris Rigg, he's still looking knackered. He's not really impacting games. Is that a call for Alan Brown maybe to come in, especially away from home for the first leg?
Maybe again more of a defensive head on him than Rigg, but I think he'll stick with Rigg on Friday.
Yeah, and finally, Justin, people have been saying that Patrick Roberts should be dropped, and why not put Mayenda on the right and Isidore up front?
Yeah, I've never been completely convinced with Mayenda playing at right wing. To be honest, I mean he's a bit too straight line run at goal, which I guess makes a change from straight line run across the goal like Patrick Roberts likes to do. But yeah, not convinced by that, to be honest. I mean it's perhaps maybe a sort of last roll of the dice, get 2 centre forwards on if you wanted to try and change the result. But I think on the right hand side, because like Robertson and Hume have played well together, I think you stick with that, to be honest.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll leave it there for today, gents. Thanks for coming on. Enjoy the rest of your evenings, your afternoons. I'll see you next time. We'll be back on Wednesday, where we're doing a preview of the playoffs. We're going to have a special guest, hopefully. We've got 2 special guests because Danny the Bulgarian's coming on, so he's a special guest in his own right. And we've also got an ex-player coming on, hopefully. So, and then we'll be back on Friday with a live stream preview on YouTube as well. So, how are the lads? Keep the faith and let's do this. Cheers.
We can do it.
Cheers.
Thanks a lot.
All right, lads.
Bye-bye.